Okay, let's update our form. We're going to use Ajax for that. Now, if we check out our form, we have this Save Lesson button. When we click on it, sure enough, it says updating because that's what we have for now. Let's switch this out with our correct implementation. So Axios, and request we want to make is a put request. So now we need to pass in the endpoint. So it's going to be /admin / the series ID, which we don't have yet, because we might actually be opening the edit lesson form when we don't yet have this. So why don't we actually pass in the series ID as a payload also? Therefore, we'd head over to our lessons.view, and rather than passing in one parameter, we'll pass in the lesson and the series ID. Okay, so series ID should be passed in, and we'll just say let series ID be equal to this dot series ID. Okay, so we have this series ID that we could reference right here. Okay, so we pass in lesson and series ID in an object. Then what we could do is receive these properties right here. So we'd have a lesson and a series ID. We can now assign the series ID on this component. Now we can make our put request by passing in this.series ID lessons. And now we need access to the lessons ID. So how do we do this? So let's just default to saving the lesson ID on this class. Okay, so lesson ID equals lesson.id. Okay, so we need to reference that and we'll default that to null. Okay, so now that we look at it, we could actually just set lesson or lesson property, this.lesson, to be equal to lesson, and that would actually remove the complexity of writing all of these properties out. Yeah, but then we might actually come back to refactor later, but I'm gonna go with this. So we can reference the ID by saying this.lesson ID. Then it's a put request. We can listen to when the .then is fired, and we'll just console.log the response for now, and we'll catch any errors that we receive from the server, and we'll console.log that response also. So obviously we need to pass in the data, right? So it's gonna look exactly like this. So let's pass that in: title, description, episode number, and video ID. Okay, so let's try this out in the browser and actually see if it works. Edit, click on the Save Lesson button, and we have a successful response from our server. So let's go ahead and try to edit something. So edit it and Save Lesson. Check out the response to see if the title was edited, and looks like it was. So our update is working perfectly. Let's see if we could do a little refactor in the very next video.